So, Esri and network effects. I read lots about Esri, but I've never heard anyone talk about or relate Esri to the impact that networks have had on them. I remember years ago I worked for an organization, this is going back in mists of time, and the vice president of sales in his strategy talk for that year said the organization were going to go after Esri. And he laid out what that strategy was going to look like, but they were targeting Esri and beating Esri, as to quote him. I remember quietly saying to him gently after his speech that he was never going to win that one. And it was interesting because the perspective was we've got better technology than them, and he kind of focused it around that. What he'd forgotten about was network effects. There is a law, Metcalf's law. Metcalf was actually the guy that started 3Com. He was at the early phases of the internet revolution, building routers and things. And there's a Metcalf's law about the value of a network is the square of the number of users in that network. So there's kind of a mathematical formula for it. But network effects are massively important. I read about them a lot actually in the world of crypto. Those cryptocurrencies projects that are going to be the most successful, when they build a network of people loyal to them, they're going to be successful. So how does that relate to Esri? People always talk about Esri's technology, and they've got great technology. They've built out a very sophisticated platform. Is that why they've been so successful? I would argue no. Certainly they've got, like a lot of organizations, nothing against Esri, they've got kind of a lock-in component. They've got a geodatabase, which means you've got to convert your data into the Esri format. So they've got those kind of things going on, but truly why the genius of Jack Dangermond and the folks who started and been running Esri is the network they've built. They have a loyal, very large, loyal group of folks who they're called the Kool-Aid drinkers. I don't think that's a good or a bad term, but truly Esri have built a loyal network of people. Go to their 20,000 people conference in the middle of summer in San Diego and you'll see it. People love Esri. They learnt that stuff at college. Esri put on these wonderful conferences, so they've got a lot of loyalty. They've built a moat around themselves, which means that they're really in an unassailable position. So that vice president of sales that I mentioned earlier, he really didn't understand the landscape. And as a consequence, the strategy they put in place was unsuccessful. So why do I mention this? I think people need to really start thinking about, particularly as we see the evolution of geospatial, we're in a new world where it's all about artificial intelligence and new data and digital twins and immersive technology. We're entering a completely new phase. It's really much about building a community around the solutions or the products that you're building that's key. It's not about pontificating on LinkedIn, telling people how wonderful your product is. It's building people that believe what you believe. And I often reference Simon Sinek, who wrote Start With Why. His three-part system is circles, is at the center. Start with your purpose or your why, then your how and your what come after that. When you build a purpose, and he uses Martin Luther King as an example of that, if I have a dream, people share the same passion, the same beliefs, the same things that you believe. Esri have got that. They've got a community that believe that they're all in with the Esri world. That's the power of what they've done, and that's why they're in the GIS space in an unassailable position. But the geospatial world's changing. Those that are thinking and want to innovate in that space, you need to build a community around yourself. Build those groups of people that have your same belief system, that want to solve the same problems as you. Maybe you bring those solutions to those guys, but you need to start with that as your journey. You need to think network effects and mirror what Esri have done in your domain. That's my thought for today, network effects.